Remember Adam said that we need a jingle. Howdy everybody and welcome to Praise the Pickle Retrospect, where we're going to be talking about, video games and everything that we love, hate and find incredibly mediocre about them. But mainly the games that we've been playing over the last week, our first impressions, our reviews and everything about them, basically. Fun and love for all. I am your host, Mr. Benjamin Watts, and I'm joined by Mr. Daniel Watts.
Hi.
Hello. And I'm also joined by Mr. Kevin Hart.
Hi.
Hello. Is this going to be a new thing now where you copy them?
It means Dan's on edge about what to do before I have to copy him.
The news one we did was so good, man. Good evening, everybody. Treated it like tonally perfect. It was so good.
You have to introduce Kevin first from now on.
Yeah, alright, cool.
It finally worked.
It was all part of the plan. Alright, well, we've got tons of games to talk about this week.
So gouring my teeth into it, all of it, all the little juicy games.
So, we're going to do our normal. We're going to start with games that the others have not played. So, who wants to start? Dan, you can start because we're recording it separately this time, so that means you can start. Go.
Alright, I've got quite a lot though, just to warn you.
Yeah, so I've been taking
advantage of the GDC's Steam Festival thing, all the demos on it, so I played quite a few. Today I had a bit of a marathon. One of the first games I played, this was actually yesterday, is a game called Klang 2, Klang with a K. It's a rhythm action game, kind of. It's quite bizarre. It's quite overwhelming to play in terms of the sensory input. There's a lot going on. And the input mechanism you use is really straightforward. It says from the very get-go, all you need to do is use your mouse to play this game. So you're like, alright, fair enough. And you basically just click on circles as they appear. Sometimes you hold down the click button, and sometimes you click and swipe. But it's all rhythm based, so it's like
this is a sorry, I'm just looking this up. This is a very popular format of a Japanese rhythm action game.
Yeah. There's a lot of people on DS and stuff.
Yeah, there's tons of games like this in Japan.
They're quite popular, aren't they, over in Japan? I think it's because they like that. They like to do a lot of tricky things, and those kind of games are very tricky.
They are, yeah.
I mean, I only played the early stages, so it wasn't particularly hard, but I can imagine how it would be. The first tutorial level I played was a little bit kind of dull, to be honest. It's all about dance music, and it's all they describe it as a psychedelic game, so it's quite visually intense, and there's lots of colours and warping going on and all that sort of stuff. The tutorial was a bit dull, and then the first level I actually played, I got into such a flow with it that I can see why people love this genre. I've never played this genre really, apart from a bit of Beat Saber and Guitar Hero and that sort of thing. I played Audio Surf back in the day, which was great, and it kind of reminds me of that a bit. But yeah, it's good. It's like you've got a little character on the screen who's it's like a 3D side-scrolling viewpoint, and all these orbs come in, and as you complete each action, he does an ability, so he'll dash to the right and kill one with his sword, then he'll dash up into a corner, and then he'll bounce from enemy to enemy as you're fulfilling the motions, and if you mess up, then it means an enemy has shot you or knocked you down or something. Yeah, it looks really good. The soundtracks, from what I've seen so far, is if you're into dance music and clubby type music, it's pretty decent.
I think I always feel like the music's almost, it sounds weird, but almost like a side thought with these sorts of games, where you're making a game and then the music has to fit the game, as opposed to having the music and then making the game around the music. It always works better when you have the idea for the game first. It was like I was talking about Sayonara Wild Hearts the other week, where I would never normally listen to that music, ever, but in that game, it works perfectly. So they've thought of this game, and this is the concept, and then you're writing the music for that game, and it works really well. where when you're playing, I think Audio Surf was an example where you could put like any song into it, couldn't you?
Yeah.
And when you did that, sometimes it just didn't fit though. You know, when you just do it and you're just a bit like, it's just not right. It doesn't fit the animations and things like that. It's just a bit. So I think as long as the music fits the game, then it doesn't really matter, does it?
It seems to fit the game, and I think the selling point for me, the reason I feel like I might go back and play it is, each stage is the length of a song, so 4 or 5 minutes or so. And when you're playing it, you do get into this really intense, like laser-focused flow state, which is really quite satisfying to be in.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to explain, and there's a lot going on the screen, and once you get into the flow of it, it's quite satisfying, and you do kind of feel the urge to get a good score, and the times you mess up are a bit frustrating, but you keep pushing through. Yeah, it's good. It's worth picking up. If they add support for custom songs, I think it'll be
brilliant,
quite popular. Yeah, and the music is close to my taste, but not quite what I would listen to. So
yes, that's why
maybe
it's
more for me than
songs.
Others. I hope it does custom songs because I think it would work quite well. But yeah, visually it's great. I loved the whole aesthetic of it. It's right up my street. Very cybery, neo psychedelia type stuff. Loved it.
Psychedelia, is that a word?
Yeah, pretty sure that's a word.
Please don't be a word, and I won't be the only one that makes up words.
Psychedelia.
Psychedelia, yeah. It's all things psychedelic, basically. So another game I've played, I'll move on from that, is a game called Raji, an Ancient Epic. I played this today, played the demo through. It's an isometric action platformer game. It's themed around sort of Hindu legend and stuff. Like it's got all the Hindu gods in it, and it's got all the symbology and the ancient sort of Indian aesthetic to it, and all the music and the chanting and stuff. The platforming is kind of... Firstly, the animation in it is really good. It looks quite colourful and bright, and the environment's nice. Sort of like ancient ruined temples and some sort of magical, surreal stuff going on as well. But the platforming from an animation perspective is really good. But it's not in any way punishing, so it feels like it's impossible to mess up. You just kind of you jump onto a pole, and then you like shimmy up the pole, and then you land on the top, and then you just press right and jump, and it jumps onto the next one. So it's not a classical platformer per se.
Prince of Persia type thing. But that was kind of
actually it did remind me of that. It did remind me of Prince of Persia quite a lot when I was playing it, actually. But yeah, you kind of automatically grab onto stuff and ledges, and there's no real challenging traversal, but it seems to be quite a big focus. I think it's more about the animations more than anything else, like the wall running and the flipping around and stuff, which is good. The animation's really good. The combat is another big focus. You get given like a spear from I think it's from Shiva at the start of the game. And it's got all these magical properties, but it's got left click light attacks and right click heavier attacks, and it's got these lightning powers which will kind of cause area effect damage. You can do cool things like those poles that I mentioned earlier. In the middle of combat, you can like grab on with one hand to the pole and do a full 360 around it and kind of hit everything in the area. You can like start doing a wall jump and then bounce off the wall and do like an attack as you come out the other side of it. So you can chain all those platforming animations into the combat quite nicely, which is pretty cool.
That's quite cool. And it sounds
it's quite cool. Yeah.
I like a game that has a blend. I mean, we're going to talk a bit about Doom today, and it's like having a kill room, but blending in the mechanics from outside of the kill room into the kill room is quite a difficult thing to achieve. But if you can do it, it works really well. In my opinion.
That's good.
It worked well. It did work well. The demo itself, and I don't want to judge the full game on this, but the demo itself only had, I think, 2 or 3 different enemies in it. And even the boss at the end of the demo it seemed to be like a chunkier version of one of the earlier enemies that you fought. Yeah. So there wasn't much variety there. But the combat's pretty challenging. I died quite a lot. It looked it felt it. But it was challenging. The combat, the platforming wasn't, but the combat was, and the environments are really nice, and it kind of tied together into a pretty nice sort of consistent experience with a theme that I've not really seen in a video game before. Which was, it appealed, and it was pleasing to play. I didn't feel at any point that I was slugging through the demo. I did genuinely want to complete it, and when the demo ended, I was like, oh, that's a shame. I kind of wanted to see what was in the next area, because the world design is really, really cool.
It looks stunning,
there's all these like statues and all the symbologies there, and all these murals on the wall, and kind of the gods are talking amongst themselves about you as you're playing, so there's this kind of overarching narration going on. Very atmospheric, really really cool game actually. I'm going to keep an eye on it, because I feel like it could be, with a bit of work, it could be a winner, that one. That one was cool. I'm glad I tried that. The next one I played was Superliminal, which is the first-person perspective-based puzzle game. It's, Portal-esque in a way, I guess. This one, I saw a very, very early tech demo on Reddit, like a couple of years ago, I think it was, where it was somebody who, like, moved themselves around the room to line up 3 different sort of paintings of a cube on the wall to make an actual cube, and as they lined it up perfectly, it turned into an actual cube and kind of fell onto the floor. And that was the first thing I saw of it. But the way it works is, this is a bit of a mind-bendy one. Like, if you click on objects to pick them up, as in like an old Half-Life game, you just sort of hold it in front of you, and if you move it further away, it gets smaller. And then when you drop it, it becomes the same size that you perceived it from the distance you were to it. So if you bring it right up close to your face and then drop it, it'll be so big that it will just make a massive thud as it hits the ground, and it'll be this giant towering object. But it ends up in some really interesting puzzles. I really, really liked this. Some bits stumped me a bit, and I had to really think about what I was doing. It combines... Another thing they do is, the old Alice in Wonderland scene where they're walking down the corridor and the doorway looks normal size at first, and as they get towards it, it's getting smaller and smaller. They do some stuff like that, or it stays the same size as you're walking towards it, so by the time you get there, it's like the same size it was
back when you were back there,
it was at the very end of the corridor, so it's this tiny little door and you can't get through it, so it does stuff like that as well. It's very trippy, it's quite mind-bending, and it does make you it makes you think outside the box quite a lot, and I really liked it. I don't want to spoil too much of the puzzles, but definitely worth trying the demo. I don't know if I think it's a Steam exclusive one, so by the time you guys hear this, it'll be gone, I think.
So I just got really confused. I had to look it up. So, because I was under the impression this game was already out.
Yeah, I was as well.
I said it last week. And then on Steam it said November 2020, and then I realised I think it's an Epic Game exclusive for a year. So it's on, the full game's on Epic Games now for £16. So it looks really interesting, man. I've had my eye on this for ages, and the only thing that put me off was that it got a bit trounced in some reviews, but then I don't... It's still got...
That might be an Epic Game Pass thing.
Yeah, it could be.
So many people, if a game is exclusive to Epic, it just gets review bombed quite heavily because of the whole... People don't like Epic exclusives. It was a big thing for a while.
Yeah, I'm going to check it out because it looks similar to, like you said, like Portal, and I need, after finishing that Light Matter game, I need another sort of puzzle, first-person puzzle, escape from mayhem thing,
Portal.
It was very much like Light Matter in its atmosphere and
okay, cool, yeah.
The scientists behind the radios and all that. Really cool. I think it's just a little...
voice actor's David Tennant, isn't it?
I thought it was.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
I heard him on the radio, and I wasn't sure. I was like, "Oh my god, that sounds like David Tennant."
I'm so sure it is.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Have you not been on that, Ben?
I know, it's my boy.
Yeah, I like a bit of David Tennant, not gonna lie. Everyone's man crush, apparently. Subliminal was brilliant. I loved it. I really didn't want it to finish, so I might do the same and pick that up, to be honest.
I
might wait for it for Switch, though,
Yeah.
It got announced for Switch, and
I don't think you need to play it on Switch though. If you know what I mean. For like, There's no real benefit of playing it on the Switch.
No, I guess so. Yeah, I'm just kind of thinking about where I play games.
Yeah.
No, good point. I might pick it up soon then, because it's brilliant. It's so clever. It's in terms of how they programmed it, I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea how
I think that's the thing
made
that
that
stops
work
me
on a
as
technical
well.
level. It's madness. Yeah, it's so clever.
Do you want to pick it up this week? And then have you got? I was going to say because
maybe after I get paid at the end of the week.
Okay, cool. Because a lot of the time I end up buying a game and playing it, and then talking about it before you get a chance. So let's buy it at the same time, and then we can both talk about it.
Yeah, let's do that. Cool. That would be good. Or we can not share accounts because that's not allowed.
Oh yeah. Yes.
The other game that I've played, I'm just double checking my list here. I had a few others downloaded that I didn't get around to, sadly. I think that's it. So the last one that I've been playing is Animal Crossing. And I absolutely adore it. I love it so deeply. Like I've never played an Animal Crossing game before. I've also never played Stardew Valley before. To put it into perspective, I've played things like Minecraft and Terraria, and I played Astroneer. So in terms of the whole kind of base building survival games, I've played those. I've never played anything like this, and it's one of those games that, as most people will know that have played it, you kind of pick up and play a little bit every day. But at the same time, if you kind of want to just binge it out, you can. And I've already found myself just playing this for hours and just falling in love with it. It's it's whimsical, it's rewarding, it's beautiful, it looks amazing on the Switch, and I'm just in love with all of the characters in it and just these little bits of attention to detail. The game itself is designed so well in terms of the flow between different activities that you do and the way the world itself is put together. It's not a massive island that you're on, it's quite small, but you never feel like you've not got anything to do. You never feel like you're kind of lost. You just kind of get on with it, and it keeps you busy. And I've played maybe 10 hours of it so far, maybe 12, I don't know. But it's all kind of tied into real time. So, when it's daytime in real life, it's daytime in the game.
Oh,
I like that kind of thing. It's nighttime. So if you decide to play it in bed, like I did before bed, it's actually nighttime in the game, and it kind of immerses you a bit, and it's quite nice. And there's different wildlife at night, and people are doing different things. And from what I understand, the way it differs from the old games is that you don't start with anything. It's just you and a few people in tents on an island, and you had to work up from there. And it's just a really nice place to be, if that makes sense. It's just a nice little escape. It's like a little slice of heaven. You just go there and just, it's so relaxing. And the worst thing that's happened to me was I was stung by a wasp. That's the most dreadful, horrible thing that's happened to me in that game.
And, but that is traumatic, though.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't nice. I got chased by them all around the island, and they caught up to me and got me. But
I didn't realise it was a horror
other than
game.
that, it's. But it plays, even when that happens, it plays like this silly little music, and it's just so much fun. It's got like a Photoshop app in the game, so you can design your own clothes and decorations for your home, and there's so many things to unlock and design, and it's so lovely. If people that have played it before were like, well, yeah, we told you this, you should have played it ages ago, and people that haven't played it are like, what are you talking about? It's just like stupid little animals.
I'm in that park. I don't understand the hype at all. I don't get it.
I didn't either, but I think if you want like a little safe haven to go to, just like a daily thing that you just dip into and get some stuff done, and just a nice little place to call your home away from home, I can't.
Apologies.
What was that? What are you doing, Kevin? Are you watching football videos or something?
No, I'm not. No. So...
What was
he
it?
probably had it on his phone. He unlocked it.
It's just a really welcoming experience. It's just somewhere where as soon as they open the doors and introduce you and say hello, all the characters and that, you just kind of feel the urge to be there and spend time there and just get to know these different characters. And it's really hard to explain, but I can't recommend it enough.
I understand it. I get it. I have a feeling it's not for me.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But I
thought, though.
Yeah, maybe. But I do understand. I think my main problem is that I know I'm not allowed to binge it because like everything has like real time, doesn't it? Like.
But you are allowed to binge it.
No, but you can't because, like, for example, if you were to get, I don't know, plant some crops and then they take 2 hours of real time to be ready or something, don't they?
Yeah, but I've played for hours at a time and never found myself without something to do.
Oh, okay.
You can go and collect materials. There's always like a big kind of goal on the horizon. So one of the early things that you get is one of the founding sort of principles of the game is you're paying off a loan to Mr. Nook, who's given you money to build a house, basically.
That's where I heard the loan thing from. I heard about a loan.
It's like an interest-free loan. Yeah, exactly. There's no pressure to pay back or anything, but it kind of gives you a goal in the background to kind of keep chipping away at, and a little savings account you can set up and just keep paying back a bit at a time. So you've got that element to it. You can collect materials and sell them and get some money and work towards that. You can just walk around. I've never felt like there's nothing else to find, whether you're collecting sticks and stuff or from building and crafting, or whether you're collecting specimens for the museum. There seems to always be something to do. And what they've also introduced in this version, I believe, is like an objective system in your phone. You get bonus points for doing these activities that have been laid out for you. And I've never found like a barrier to that. Like, I can't do this today, I have to wait until tomorrow. There's never a sense of that.
Oh, okay, because that's what I understood. It was like, well, almost like a mobile game. When you like want to do something and it's like, your gems refresh in 24 hours or something. I'm just
the worst one, isn't it?
No. Yeah. It's not like that. It's so flexible in the way that you want to play it. You can play for 10 minutes a day, or you can play for hours at a time. Like, I've done both, and it's been really nice each time. I just play it in between things. I play it, whilst I'm waiting for something to download. It's really lovely. It's such a well designed game as well. Like, I can't overstate that, really.
How does it run? Because it looks quite nice. I wasn't sure if it's
stunning, beautifully. Yeah, it runs like butter.
Nice.
Just the feeling of moving around and moving the camera around and just interacting with things. Everything is just fluid, and the UI is beautiful. It's just a joy to play. It's just I can't think of any other example of a game that just. I guess Doom in a way, because it's so well optimized and so well like put together, and the flow between different things is so good. Like, it's similar to that, I guess, or like the traditional Mario games or something. It's just slick and nice, and I can't even.
Cool.
I love it so much. I think about it all the time. I can't.
It sounds like I see it in my dreams.
Genuinely, man. Yeah, I was chopping trees down in my dream last night.
Yeah, well, are you sure that wasn't because of the forest?
Oh yeah, yeah, actually. I think that's all I played. Yeah, cool. Ben, honestly, if you don't like it, Charlotte will love it. I'm almost certain of it.
Yeah, I'm thinking about buying it for her anyway, but I don't understand how that would work, because what if we both want to play it? We can't have two separate accounts, can we?
You can have two different characters, but I think you would share the same island, so you'd have different accounts on Switch.
I can't have her on my island, man. I want to go on Animal Crossing to get away from her. I don't want to share that with her as well.
I think if you want separate islands, you have to get separate Switches, which is a bummer, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a bit dumb.
It's not about time she had her own bloody Switch. She play it.
She doesn't. To be fair, she doesn't actually play it massively. She gets into like games, like she was into Dragon Quest, but then not just that, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah, okay.
She definitely doesn't play games as much as me, put it that way.
Didn't you buy the Switch for her, Ben?
Yeah, she plays more than me. Plays the Switch more than me. I just play games in general more than her.
It's about time you get your own Switch, Ben.
No, thank you. I'm fine. When they release the Switch Pro, then I'll consider it. Anyway.
Damn right. That's it for me.
That's it. Cool. So what have I played? I have played a game called Iris and the Giant. Iris and the Giant is a card-based dungeon crawler set in the dreams of a young girl who is... It's quite... But basically, it starts off with like a little cutscene where you're driving somewhere and the girl's reading a book on Greek mythology, and then she dreams about the Greek mythology, and at the same time her own troubles of the real world blend into the Greek mythology, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, it's got this really interesting like storybook sort of visual style to it. So like really simple contrasted colours sort of thing, nothing too extravagant. And I wasn't really expecting much from it. I was expecting like a little cute game. I was like, oh yeah. My God, man, it's like Slay the Spire 2.0. Honestly, like, I'm hooked on it. I've played it so much.
Is it harder or better? Or
It's not harder. It's not necessarily better. It's different. But it has that difficulty level to it. And it has a really deep card-based combat system. Like, there's... So it's basically enemies come at you in waves. So imagine there's three. It's all like tile based. A 3 by 3 tile system square thing in front of you, and then different attacks do different things. So you might have an axe where you can kill all of the ones on the first row. You might have a fire beam thing which basically hits 3 in a row away from you. So 3 in a column, I guess you'd call it. You get bombs which kill things in an X and things like that. But then, as it gets further and further into the depths of the levels, you basically get loads of enemies. Like, so some enemies are immune to magic attacks. Some are immune to physical attacks. There's certain enemies that will raise other enemies back from the dead, so you have to focus them first. And there's so much depth to this game that I was not expecting at all. And like you have to be really clever with how you're building your deck. So you pick up chests during each level and stuff, and you can pick which cards you want to add to your deck. And you need to be really clever, because for the first few runs I was just like, well, the axe kills 3 people, so that is clearly going to be the better one. But then the next level, if I come up against one of those things that raises everyone back to the dead, if they're sitting in the back row, my axe can only kill things on the front row. So if I've got a deck full of axes and I can't kill the thing that's raising them back from the dead at the back row, then it's just going to keep reviving them, and my deck is a complete shambles. I can't do anything. There is a lot of depth to this game, and it is brilliant, man. I love it so much. It's
just the
so
one
good.
you were playing yesterday, and you were saying that you ended up dying, and you was like, oh, it took me the whole deck to get the card that I wanted.
Yeah. Is that one? Yeah. So because I arranged my deck badly, I basically in that situation I had loads of singular attack cards, and the enemy I came up against was a Hydra. So the their head keeps growing back.
Oh yeah.
The Greek mythology thing, yeah. So if you kill one of them, at the end of the turn, it comes back alive again. So you have to kill all 3 of them at the same time. So I needed.
What the axe is for.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I need to get them all in the front row and use the axe to kill them all and stuff.
That's quite clever.
It's really good, man. It's a lot more deep than Slay the Spire for sure. Like there might be a lot more. I don't even know if there's a lot more cards in Slay the Spire. Actually, I don't know, but I feel like this game deserves more popularity for what it succeeds in that card-based genre. Like, I think people are going to look at this as a story-based whatever, but it's really not that, and there's a lot more depth to it outside of the games as well. So like, you pick up memories and you use memories to get upgrades, which could be tiny things, like every time you kill someone with a sword you get 1 life back and things like that. But it makes for like really interesting, loadouts before you go into each run sort of thing. And you can get imaginary friends, and you have to unlock them in really weird ways. Like, I don't know, I had one where I had to end a turn with 60 cards in my deck, which was very hard.
Yeah, blimey, that's pretty...
Yeah, because you get like maybe between 5 and 10 cards per chest sort of thing.
So you have to get like all the big heavy hitter cards in those. Because if you just get swords and stuff, the single attack ones, you're going to use loads, if that makes sense. You need to use all the big, strong cards to be able to have enough left at the end to get to 60. And I've got one where I need to get to the 13th floor without using any magic cards to unlock that one. And it has an effect if I equip it in game and stuff. And it's brilliant, man. I love it so much. It's so good.
Is it like a proper roguelike game where each time you play the game it's just a new run of the dungeon with a completely fresh slate, or is there some kind of carried through progression as well?
So there's a lot of carry through progression. So you get memories every time you do a run, depending on how far you get and how well you do. You get some things which help on just the next run. So you get like extra things like, here are 5 sword cards that you get at the start of your next run, sort of thing. So that's just unique to that next run. During the runs, you find memories, and when you get the memories, you can unlock certain abilities which are permanent, and you can also unlock the imaginary friends, which you can equip, which have special effects of some variation. And
how does the deck building work? Do you have a deck that you take into each run with you, or is there a set of pre-made decks which you upgrade as you do the run?
It's the same as Slay the Spire. So you go in with a base deck plus whatever cards you got from your last run. So your last run will say, like at the end of your last run where I said you get 5 extra cards at the end of your, at the start of your next run sort of thing. So it's base deck plus whatever bonuses you got from the last run. And then everything else you build as you go along. Yeah, one base deck.
Okay.
It sounds so good.
I was 50-50 on it. I wasn't sure how much depth it would have. I thought it would be more about the art than the depth of gameplay.
Oh, no, not at all. No.
As naive as that sounds. But in terms of how it looks, it looks really interesting and just unique in its style, which is cool.
Yeah. If you like Slay the Spire, this game is for you.
I love Slay the Spire.
Yeah, you should really get it then, man. I don't know if it's on Switch. If it is, that would be the perfect game for Switch, in my opinion.
Yeah, it seems it. The only reason I didn't get Slay the Spire on Switch is because I'd already played through most of it on PC.
Yeah.
I think... Yeah, that sounds good. It sounds good.
Definitely check it out. It's made by... or developed by the people that made that Legend of the Keepers, which is quite popular at the minute as well. Goblins Studio, I think they are. Something like that, but yeah. Very, very good.
Goblins, yeah.
Yeah, highly, highly recommend. If you like card games, get it. What else have just Benjamin played? I've played some more Indivisible this week, so
Did you finish it?
So yeah, remember yesterday when I said I was an hour away from finishing it?
Yeah.
Remember Charlotte describing Dragon Quest and that thing that when you get towards the end and they separate your whole party, you need to go get them all again?
Yeah.
Yeah, so apparently that's a common theme along JRPGs, so I have to do that. So I was literally fighting the last boss, and then suddenly it was like, oh no, you failed, and now you have to go and get all your friends who are scattered around everywhere, and I'm just like, oh, for God's sake. But it's still brilliant. It's still a really good game. It's yeah, I don't think there's much longer of it still. I think there's only a couple of hours left until I finished it, in which case it's perfect, because the thing that puts me off these RPG type games is the stupidly long hour tag that comes with it. And I've played it for about 10 hours now, so if it stays under 15 hours, I'll be happy. But
would you still recommend it as highly as you did last time?
Yep, 100%. Yeah. It's very good. It's on Game Pass as well, so just play it. Just make sure you get past the first half an hour, and you'll just flow through the rest of the game. I reckon it's so good.
I keep contemplating whether I should pick it up or not, and completely forgetting that it's on Game Pass, which is crazy.
Just play it on Game Pass, man. Even if you don't like it, whatever. But it's not going to be for everyone, definitely. But I don't think I'd recommend it to Kevin.
I could always give it a go. I quite like card games, but...
Kev, we're not talking about Iris and the Giant anymore.
What?
We're talking about Indivisible. Are you watching football on your phone again?
I'm not watching football on my phone. I zoned out a little bit because it was another card game.
Indivisible we're talking about.
Oh. Yeah. You did carry on with it, okay. This game definitely, when you described it the other day, it wasn't... didn't seem much up my...
Nah, I didn't.
Much up my streets.
I think you would
you guys are very your turn-based games are very not. They just seem a bit too.
Passive?
I think so. I think it's a bit too passive for me because we played that turn-based game. It must have been a couple of months ago.
Was it King something?
Oh, for the King.
For the King.
Yeah, and just that. Even that, I know we played that game like as a short amount, but it was still a bit.
Okay, Kev.
You prefer
try playing. I think the perfect entry point for most people for these types of games is Slay the Spire.
100%.
Because it's so user friendly, and the best thing about Slay the Spire is that you feel like a genius whenever you do anything right. So it's a different type of rewarding. I think that's the thing that you're missing, Kev. Like, when you can do some like mad shit in Call of Duty, for example, and it's satisfying in that fast paced like reflexes and shit sense. But when you build like a really good deck, like it's just rewarding in the sense of accomplishment. I can't quite.
No, I get that. I've been playing the hero. No. Oh god, what's the card game of Blizzard?
Oh, Hearthstone.
Yeah, like I know it's I guess it's kind of very similar to it, isn't it?
Kind of, but it's more isolated to the experience of that game, not this like months and months of building up decks and being stomped around. Like these games work on a sit down and have a solid kind of hour of gameplay and that's it, and it's all kind of contained to that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I honestly feel like these kind of games I'd enjoy playing them in like a like on my hour break or something at work, or
exactly.
If you've got nothing, it would be good. It'd be nice to have that kind of thing. And it, you know what, the weeks and weeks go on make me really want to get a Switch more and more and more. I just need to find the right time.
The good thing about you getting a Switch, Kev, is that there are so many games that because me and Dan play a lot of games anyway. And there's a lot of games that we've played already on PC that I really wish I hadn't played because I would have loved to have played them on my Switch. Like Slay the Spire.
Hollow Knight for one.
Hollow Knight, yeah. Hollow Knight, Slay the Spire, Celeste, things like that. It's all these games that are like the staple of the Switch indie market that I've already played. So I'm like, But yeah, I would... If you're going to get a Switch, wait till then before playing Slay the Spire because you'll have more time to do it and you can... put a film on or whatever. Like I remember saying when I don't know, I think I mentioned it on the pod, but I watched like every single YouTube clip of Dragon's Den whilst playing through Slay the Spire, and it's great because you can do other stuff at the same time and it's not intensive. There's no time to it.
True.
It's brilliant. Yeah, it's such a good game. And Iris and the Giant is really similar to that, but I don't know why we're talking about that again. Anyway, I think that is everything that I've played that you guys haven't played. This week I'm going to try World of Horror, which looks really interesting.
I still can't believe that all the artwork in that game was done in paint.
I know, it's mad, isn't it?
I love that.
They made a game in paint.
They made a game in paint, yeah. Well, they didn't make the game on it, they just did the artwork for it. So that's it. So, Kevin, what you played that we haven't played?
I think quite a few games.
Ooh.
So I'll start off with the one that I played first, which was one that Ben suggested last week, being Bloodroots, which on Monday I did stream it. I didn't stream it for too long because my computer was doing weird things and it kept minimising my game, and it was too much out of my. It was just frustrating because the game is quite frustrating as it is, and with that going on as well, it frustrated me even more, and I just kind of thought, you know what, just leave it. But the game itself, it is very enjoyable. I do quite enjoy it. It has some of the downfall points of it all that I'll get into, but so you basically play as like I want to say a barbarian type person, and it kind of it plays through like a little story, and you end up getting into a shootout with someone, and he shoots you in the head, and then you come back to life, and then you're going through basically killing everything in your path to get to back to this. I think his name was Joe. I want to say get back to him to kill him, and in terms of the actual gameplay, I think one of you described it last week being. I don't want to keep saying it's very similar to
Hotline Miami.
Yeah,
it is. No, this game is actually similar to Hotline Miami. You can say that.
It
not like
is
that
similar.
other one you said, whatever it was.
It is similar to Hotline Miami, yeah. Where it's if you almost like misplace anything or mispress anything, you get punished severely by the fact that you die and you have to reset the level again. And you basically have different ways that you can kill the enemy. You can pick up nearly enough every object in the game, and they all have their own. They all have their own range, their own speeds. They all have different durability. So some of them is more like a one hit and then it breaks. And you've got to pick up another weapon, or you throw the weapon, or you can set you can throw like a lantern at the floor and it sets the surroundings on fire. It is very it is really cool because as well, once you've like cleared out a room, the very last person that's alive, if you depending on what weapon you kill it with, it does like a cinematic, like a special way you like execute that person. And it's very, very graphical the way they do it as well.
It is a bit bloody in this game, isn't it?
yeah, ripping people's heads off and if you kill them with I think the pickaxe. If you go kill him with it, you kind of run past and you like slit their head open with it. It's just
man,
it was quite graphic.
But do you find it rewarding though? Like I know it's frustrating, but like I think the idea behind these types of games like Hotline Miami and Katana Zero and stuff is that you basically have to set out a path and it's like sort of planning it, you know. And then when you plan it correctly and it all pays off at the end, it's just like a rewarding feeling, if that makes sense.
I think it'll be rewarding if like some of them were rewarding, other ones were just a bit of a nuisance because sometimes when you die in this game, you don't feel as if you should have died in that moment.
I did watch a bit of your stream, and there were a couple of times where you did like the same thing twice, and the second time it killed you, and it was like when you were dashing through those spike things.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like you did exactly the same thing both times, but the second time you got hit by the spikes, and the first time you didn't. So it doesn't seem massively reliable is a harsh word, but if you know what I mean, that it's not as clinical as it should be.
Consistent, yeah. Which is one of the things that I guess takes away from the rewarding part, because then you think to yourself, well, if I'd done that again last time, would it have worked? And I wouldn't have to do this again? And it kind of it does take a bit of the. I think with consistency and that being a problem, it makes you think that once you've cleared a stage. Like, don't get me wrong, some stages were really rewarding when you cleared them, because I could be stuck in them for ages, and I finally clear it, and I think to myself, yes, finally got through it. To then go on to the next stage, and it is a really cool game, and the way that you have to plan your attacks and plan your rooms areas is so. You do have to think through it, and it is good. It is. I definitely would suggest it to other people, because I think it's a good. It's a very different game. I haven't played a game like this in ages. The only other two little things I don't necessarily like about the game is, one, occasionally if you would hit someone with a weapon, and it would break and you'd lose that weapon, it would. You basically can't move. You get stuck on the spot, and you basically have to pick up another weapon in order to carry on going.
Oh,
which was it happened a few times. The first time it happened, I thought a cutscene was happening because I couldn't move, and I was kind of like, and if you just kind of like move the move button, the camera kind of pans to the direction you're moving your person, but you're not actually moving anywhere. And then I thought to myself, well, this is a bit weird. Why is he just kind of staring at my person? And I realised I just had to press B to pick up a weapon and carry on the room. And it happened a few times as well. It would happen, and someone would come up and kill me. I think, well, that's just a stupid little bug. And the other thing
is it a bug or is it a game design thing?
It's not a game design because no.
You
can move around without having a weapon in your hand.
Oh, okay.
I think it was just a few little bugs that would happen at times. I mean, I happened about 3 times, but it did happen, which is kind of annoying. And the only other thing is there's little things in the game that just aren't needed. There's one bit where you're in a cannon, and you can shoot yourself in like different areas, and you jump into the cannon and you'd fire yourself. And it'd take ages to get up into the sky and back down to the ground. Considering it's a fast-paced game.
Yeah, it breaks the flow of it a bit, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. And it was every single time I saw a cannon, I'm like, oh, for God's sake, like, and climbing up a mountain and just because yeah, there's a few little things. The music's good again. Music helps with the rhythm and get the flow going with it. It doesn't really suit the time of what it is, where it's set, considering it's in a barbarian era.
Yeah.
I'd say it's very like clubby, like kind of yeah. Basically getting you going for it, and you think it's a bit of an unusual one. The bosses are good though. Quite enjoyed that. Quite enjoyed the boss battle. They are rewarding. They are very rewarding. That's lovely.
I mean, it sounds like it's the sort of game, a game like Hotline Miami or Katana Zero, or Bloodroots, I guess. They require a perfectly precise, clinical way of playing, and the simplicity of Katana Zero and Hotline Miami helps because it's a 2D flat plane. It's quite hard to get wrong, but the second you put that into an isometric sort of format with loads of features in it and stuff, there's going to be bugs and stuff like that, and it just breaks up the flow, I guess. So
yeah.
Are you going to keep playing it, do you reckon, or?
I'll give it one more stream.
Cool.
Do it tomorrow. I'll see how I feel about it at the end. But I kind of there's something just pulling me away from it a bit. I mean, Hotline Miami, I absolutely love that game. I couldn't wait to play it. But this one, there's something missing in it.
I think that
you should totally play Katana if you liked Hotline Miami.
Yeah, Katana Zero is brilliant, man.
I thought to myself when I was playing this game, I thought I think at this moment I'd rather be playing a game like Katana. You guys raved about it.
It is really good, especially if you like Hotline Miami. This is a lot more closer to that than Bloodroots is, I think. But
I'll give it a go. I don't want to write it off just yet.
No. Play as much as you're willing to play, but like, if you're done with it, you're done with it. Like I've got like, for example, I've got a list of all our games that we're like that I'm planning to playing and finished with, and I've put Black Mesa in the finished with thing, even though I haven't finished it, but only because it's just another. I know it's Half-Life and it's great and all, but like, I'm just gonna play it as and when. I'm not gonna rush to finish it. There's no point, and I think Bloodroots might fall into that. You can just pick it up and play it every now and then, but not rush to finish it. Yeah,
I feel like doing it. Yeah.
Right. What else you played?
I'll do the 2 other ones I've played. I mean, just me are quite short. So Resident Evil.
Oh, yeah. I can't believe I haven't played this, man. What is wrong with me?
I haven't finished the demo as of yet, so I don't know whether or not I should talk about it. And then once I finish the demo,
I'll play it this week as well, and we'll both talk about it next week.
I think I will too.
There you go. Yeah, we'll all talk about it next week.
Okay,
cool.
I'll leave that one. And then a game called Refunct.
Yeah, what is this?
It cost me about £2, I think. I said it was something like that on Steam, and it's basically a parkour game.
Oh.
Very. You basically start off and you have to jump over. You're standing on a block and you've got to jump over another block and you've got to press a red button. Once you press that button, the ground below you lifts up around you, and another red button will appear. And so you have to then work your way up to that button, and then the ground will come up around you again, and you got to continue. And the game, I'd say if I was to say it's about 15 minutes long, That's how long this game is.
Yeah, I was. So before we recorded the last pod. We were waiting for Dan, and we downloaded a demo. Both played it, and then he was like, "Right, I'm going to play a bit of this other game." And he was like, "All right, finished it." And I was like, "Wait, what? What do you mean you finished it?" And he was like, "Yeah, done." I'm like, "Bollocks, you finished it." Yeah.
There's no other way to describe it other than it's a parkour game where you have to just go around pressing on these red buttons.
So whenever you press the red button, it just opens up more of the route, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But I mean, the game could do with a failure option, because if you don't make the jump, you don't die. You just go into some water and you just carry on going. There's no real. I mean, I'm guessing the game is. I mean, it's a short game that they didn't put too much work into it. I'm guessing.
I mean, it's described as a peaceful, short, first-person platformer, so I guess they didn't want to put death and stuff into it. They just wanted to make it simple, and nice.
But it was. I mean, if you got a couple of quid laying around or something, definitely give it a go. And
what are the mechanics like? What are the parkour mechanics like?
You have a duck and a jump.
Oh, okay.
And
so it's not like wall running and vaulting and stuff.
No, so it's just the kind of similar to the one where if you jump on one wall, you can jump to the next one. It kind of boosts you up a little bit, but you can't run up the same wall, kind of thing.
Okay.
So you have to kind of bounce wall jump from one to another in order to get higher. But yeah, I almost kind of like imagine myself just being in that scenario, just trying to work my way, figure out the way to get to the button, and then when you press it, you go somewhere else.
I mean, it's got mad reviews,
realistic.
Man.
Yeah,
14,000 overwhelmingly positive. That's mental.
Like, it was quite a nice little game. But yeah, I don't know. Just a little
just 15
game.
minutes. I'll give it a whirl. Why
not? And that's about it in terms of that. Then
cool.
Nice.
So we've all played the Carrion demo.
Carrion. Not Carry On. That's an old English TV show.
Movie.
Carrion.
Carrion, yeah. So Carrion is a game where you play. It's like a reverse horror experience where you play as a grotesque monstrosity that consumes biomass to grow in size and eat people and completely fuck people up, basically.
Yeah, good description.
It's horrendous to look at. It's horrendous to play. It's horrendous because the idea of reverse horror, when you think of something like the Friday the 13th game or that what's that other one, the really popular one?
Dead by Daylight.
Dead by Daylight, yeah. It doesn't sound that bad, does it? It sounds quite fun being Jason or whatever. But this, it just, the way that you move around and the way that people just scream when you're just ripping them to shreds and stuff, it's just horrible. But it's great. It's perfect. It's exactly what you want it to be, isn't it?
Yeah. It's...
What did you think, Kevin? Because you didn't sound too enthusiastic when I asked you about it the other day.
I only didn't sound too enthusiastic because my game bugged out and I couldn't carry the game on.
Okay.
Yeah.
But either way, I mean, I thought I didn't. You know what? I had no idea about this game when Ben told me to download it, and it took me. I downloaded it, and it's just a good old. Just eat everything, just munch it, and when you say he's grotesque, it's almost like you getting like 10 humans and putting them into a masher, and just whatever comes out the other end is what you are, and then you got little tentacles and a tiny little mouth that pops out. Yeah,
it's kind of like the end of Akira, if anyone's seen that.
Yeah.
Where you're just some monstrosity that grows in size depending on how many humans you eat. Like you can't pick up life, you can't pick up anything like that. You just have to find a human and rip them to shreds, and you just get bigger and. I think one of the main things to talk about is the movement in it, which is really good.
So good.
Yeah.
It's amazingly designed and programmed. But you fire tentacles in the direction that you're clicking or moving your analog stick, I presume. I played it with a mouse and keyboard. but you basically fire out these tentacles and they make all those like squishy noises and stuff. Yeah, and they fire out and grab things, and you basically pull the mass towards the thing that you're grabbing, and you can grab onto anything, and it's just you are like crawling through the environment, but at such speed that it's unsettling but satisfying as well.
It's like, put it this way, I'd much rather go up against like Alien or like Predator or
at the
Jason
same time.
or the Nightmare on Elm Street dude or whatever. Anyone other than this. I can't imagine
this
like,
thing is horrible.
Just running down a hallway and seeing this thing chase after you. Like,
and it's not just like grabbing stuff and eating it. The way the tentacles work is you can grab objects and fling them around as well, but you have such strength and you can feel the force that you have in you that you can like grab a human and just launch them at a wall. And the impact of you like throwing objects around and stuff, it just it makes your jaw drop a little bit. Like you grab a table and throw it into a group of people, and it's like, oh my fucking god, this is unreal. It gives me like, it makes my hair stand up on end just thinking about playing it, but it's also a hell of a lot of fun.
Like, the sound of eating people as well was just disgusting.
The sound design in general, it's grim, but it fits the atmosphere perfectly. The sound design.
It's weird. I feel like it's like, I feel like it's an alien that has watched far too much Dr. Disrespect. You know, like Dr. Disrespect's catchphrase of speed, violence, and momentum. I feel like that perfectly encapsulates what this creature is. Like, I just flinging it all over the shop, just ripping things to shreds. It's like, oh god.
Right at the end of the game, when you complete it, he just puts his sunglasses on. Like.
There's a bit where you have to face these like, at first quite terrifying drones that can shoot machine guns in all directions, and they're flying around. And when I first came across one, I wasn't really sure what to do, but then I realised I can just grab it. And it reminded me of the scene out of Avengers where Hulk grabs Thor and basically just swings him either side of him and just like slams him against the ground over and over again to a pulp. And you can just do that with anything in the game. And then every time I saw one of those drones from then on, I was just like, whatever, mate, I'm just going to grab you and just smash you to pieces.
I think the key thing is that you don't feel invulnerable, though. I think that's a
no, you don't.
Thing,
I was about to say that.
It would be a bit rubbish if you were just running around destroying everything, but there was no threat the other way around, if that makes sense. So.
Yeah, you kind of have to use stealth as well, which is interesting. You can like crawl through vents and stuff, and the enemies do look towards sounds, so you can like grab an object and throw it into the other side of the room, and they'll all like spin around there, and you can go up behind them and just sort of take them by surprise.
Yeah, but it's great. I mean, we always knew this was going to be good. It was one of our highlights of the indie thingies last year, one of the indie announcements last year. So.
Presentations, yeah, it was really good.
Yeah.
Buying this.
Yeah, same here. I mean, it's Devolver, so it's going to be good. So, right. What else we played? Me and Kevin have both completed Ori and the Will of the Wisps. We're not gonna talk about it because Dan still hasn't completed the first one.
Dan.
Yeah, Dan, come on, man.
Is it good then? Yeah.
It's so good.
Kevin, I didn't realise you completed it. Is the ending as good as Ben and Charlotte say it is?
I understand why Charlotte cried at the moment she cried at. Because it was very sad.
Kevin shedded one manly tear.
Oh, yeah, sure.
It came out as an ice cube and smashed on the table.
You know what? I'm going to give you one tip in terms of playing this game, Dan.
Listen to Kevin and don't listen to me.
Yeah. Don't be like Ben and just ignore the abilities you get or get given, because there's a reason why you have them in the game.
Yeah. So it turns out Kevin found this game really easy, and I found it really hard. But after discussing it, we found out that the reason that I found it really hard was because I didn't utilise any of the abilities in the game. So without a spoiler, basically one of the abilities is you hold a button and it turns your souls into life. So it's like a heal. And I didn't realise I had it until halfway through the last boss. And I was, really struggling with all these bosses. I ended up doing
hardcore mode, basically.
Yeah, basically. I did one of the bosses, and when I got to the boss, I had like half health. So it, when it saved into that fight with me having half health, so I had about 7 or 8 health. I had to do the whole boss with it, not realising that I had a bloody heal, basically. So use your abilities is the main advice of the day.
Yeah, well, I'll finish the first one first. You know, I'm a bit behind. I'm only about halfway through, I think. So,
you need to, honestly, though, it's 100% a big game of the year contender. So you need to eventually get around to it this year.
Before the end of the year.
Yeah.
If you think the platform is good in the first one, the second one is head and shoulders better. It's so clever. So that game is rewarding, if anything.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%. Yeah.
So
it's all these new abilities you get, the way they all piece together when you're doing like your traversing, platforming stuff is just insanely good, man.
I mean, it's one thing hearing you praise it, Ben, but the fact that you, Kevin, only got into these sorts of games quite recently and then played through the whole of the first one and now the second one, and you're praising it so highly, that kind of means a lot more in a way. Like,
I mean,
this is the game. That... No.
Yeah. All right, my recommendations don't mean shit, apparently.
You know what I mean? This is the game that got Kevin into this whole genre in a way. It's like the turning point. And that means it's done something really, really well. So that's cool. That's exciting.
I mean, he's even considering getting a bloody tattoo of one of them. So
a monkey. Yeah. They're so cool. It's not a fish. It's not a fish for anyone who's wondering. It's Moki from Will of the Wisp. Okay.
Anyway, fish. Absolutely stunning game. Looking forward to talking about it again on our Game of the Year show. It's going to be bloody hard to take that off the running, I'll tell you that.
Unless it goes up against Control, and then you've got a,
Well, Control came out last year, so...
Fine. Alright, whatever.
Control's garbage.
What's the other game we played?
Anyway, what else we played?
Oh, The Forest.
Yes. This, me and Dan will talk about Doom quickly, and then...
go wild. I want to hear about this.
Quickly.
I've heard a little...
Quickly.
I've heard a little bit from Ben about it, about like the one little small thing that he's not too fond of, but...
Ben, what are you not too fond of?
Well, it doesn't matter what I say, because, it doesn't mean anything coming from me, does it? So, the platforming shit in between the kill rooms is a bit naff.
It's not. It's good. It's better than the first one. Way better than the first one.
Yeah, no, it's better. It's an improvement, but it's still not great. It's a bit...
But it's kind of a little bit puzzly, and it makes getting between arenas more interesting. And you can't just have arena after arena after arena. That would completely kill
your brain cells.
Yeah, it would. It's such an intense game that you need to have the breaks, and I think they've done it in the best possible way. What else could they have done?
I don't know. I think that's the main thing.
But that's not Ben's job, though, is it?
It's not my job to decide that. It's just my job to
criticise it.
Well, you can't critique something without suggesting an improvement, surely.
Yeah, you can.
Pretty sure you can.
Say this piece is disgusting. What could you do better? I don't know, but it's disgusting.
Okay, I mean, so Control was terrible, and instead they should have just burnt it,
not made it,
and chucked it in a hole. Yeah, it's so Doom Eternal is the follow-up to the 2016 remake, and it is fantastic. Like, very good. I don't think we should start on a negative point. I think we should start on how ridiculously good this game is, right?
Yeah. It really is.
Yeah, the music is as good, if not better, than the first. It
cranked up to about 200%, whilst everything else is down at about 25%.
Have you done what I've done? Yeah, music 100%, and sound effects and stuff on like 60%.
Yeah, literally.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, it's like a given. You have to do that, man. But it is really good. They've added these new like mechanics in terms of being able to like destroy parts of enemies to make them weaker, which is really interesting. Cool. Yeah, so like you got the Revenant's quite a well-known one, which is the lanky dude with the like rockets on his shoulders.
Yeah.
And you can shoot those shoulder rocket things off now, which means that he basically becomes completely useless. And yeah, there's every enemy has their sort of weak points and stuff, which is really cool. It's the setting I find is good, but I feel like I prefer the setting of the 2016 one, like the spaceship one. I liked how it was like it got progressively more hellish as you went through, sort of thing. Whereas this one's just like hell straight from the get go. What am I trying to say? It is optimized like nothing I've ever seen before. I don't understand how they have a game that looks as good as it does, running as well as it does. It is ridiculous, and it frankly just shames other companies that can't do it. I don't understand. Like, it's bonkers. I don't get it. It's mad. What else is there to say about it, really? I mean, do you want to describe the hub area? That's really cool.
I mean, yeah, the hub area is cool, but it's like, apparently I haven't found it yet. Apparently there's a gaming PC that looks out over Earth in there with like little statues on it and stuff that you can find. 3 screens that the Doomslayer uses. I just want to talk about the design of the gameplay itself. I think it's such a massive improvement on the first, which was already excellent. It's what difficulty are you playing it on? Can I ask?
I started it on
the lowest one. Okay.
No. I started it on the 3rd one.
Don't tell me you turned it down.
I did. I was getting one shot by everything. I don't understand how you're supposed to do it.
It's supposed to be hard, though. That's what I love so much about this, is how hard it is compared to the first. Yeah, but
it's hard on the 2nd difficulty. On the 3rd, it's frankly impossible.
Wait, you're not talking about the hardest, the one below the hardest? I mean, there's the 2 at the end, which are like extreme difficulties, and then there's like Ultraviolence is hard mode, basically, and then there's 2 below that and 1 above it.
Ultraviolence here, so I started on Ultraviolence, and I was literally getting one shot by everything, so I was just like, yeah, well, this is just dead, so I turned it down.
Just dead. I can't believe you're saying that. I think that's one of the crowning achievements of this game, is Ultraviolence is the difficulty that everyone should be playing at. They said this in development, is it's been designed for Ultraviolence difficulty, and I love how hard it is. It's whooping my arse so much, and I just think it's one of... I do. I genuinely love it. I love how you have to constantly be on the move. You have to prioritize enemies in combat. Your brain is thinking in overdrive. You're switching weapons so fast to take out all the different threats on the screen. And then as the game progresses, different counters to your tactics come into play. Like, you might get... You got the rocket launcher yet?
Yeah.
So you get the rocket launcher, and then a little bit further down the line, enemy starts to appear that just pops shields up right in front of your face, so you can't just start spamming rocket launcher at a distance anymore, because a shield will just appear and you'll blow yourself up. Like, it's got such clever design in just the flow of combat. I can't understand. I don't get it. I don't understand how they've done it. For me, it's almost a perfect game so far. I think that the in-between of the combat is perfectly paced and just long enough to keep it engaging and let you explore a bit, which is kind of what the old Doom games did as well. Like, between fights, you'd have to run around and get key cards and collectibles and whatnot. And it's perfect. It's one of the best looking games I've ever seen, bar none, like, without a doubt. As you say, it runs perfectly. I love the environments way more than the first one. I love how much variety there is. I love how each level is completely different. You've got like big citadels and churches, and then you've got like cityscapes, and then you've got spaceships, and then you've got hellscapes. I love that. I absolutely love how many different assets there are and how many different things there are to see, and the detail in each one of those things, even though you only see them for like a few seconds at a time because everything is moving so quickly. I adore this game. I love the difficulty curve. I love how hard it is. I want it to be kicking my ass and then make me feel like an absolute beast when I kill a level and I do it, and it makes you feel that, and I think that's one of the best parts of this game is the more you progress through it and the more challenges you overcome, the more you actually genuinely feel like you are improving as a player. Like, you feel like you're learning all the different mechanics and how to respond to different threats in the right way. And then when you clear a zone, you feel so powerful. You feel so good about it, and oh mate, it just gives me an adrenaline rush thinking about it. And I don't blink when I'm playing it. Like, my eyes will be streaming and I'll just be just locked onto the screen in just intense focus, and then afterwards I'll have to go and have a lay down. It's so it makes me sweat, and I love it. I love it so much. It's one of the best games I've ever played so far. And I mean that. I genuinely mean it. I'm so excited. I love it. I've said that enough times, but guess what, guys? I fucking love it. I can't fault it. I literally can't find anything wrong with it. I've tried.
Not even the parkour game in the middle.
I love it. I think it's great. You
can't love it. Come on, it's a bit naff, isn't it?
But compared to the combat and the rest of the game, yeah. But you need something in between. That's the beauty of this game. Is the pacing of it is perfect. Like you need something between the fights and a way to navigate through the levels, which are brilliantly designed as it is. Which isn't just like running around and jumping across platforms. It's done all of that well, and there are kind of puzzly bits where you have to work out the route to go in and kind of go back on yourself a bit and think about things outside of the box a little bit. It has got some puzzly elements to it. It has got the occasional threat that pops up. I mean, the first game didn't even have enemies in between arenas. It was just empty. You had to like reach your hand into one of those things and pull the heart out, and then it would spawn all the enemies. In this, at least, there's like things walking around and stuff to look at, and there's like swinging and climbing and dashing between platforms.
I feel like you're making it sound like some epic parkour shit, when in reality it's a jump, a double jump, a dash, a double dash, and a swing on a pole. That's it.
What more do you want?
And a grab onto walls. Like it's. I'm not saying I want more. I just feel like it's a completely meaningless addition. I don't feel like it was needed.
But if you didn't have that, if it's meaningless and you didn't have that, what would you have instead?
Whatever the first game, I can't remember what the first game had, but whatever that had.
The first game in between combat was boring, man, and that was a great game. But the in between combat was boring. This is a marked improvement. It's so much better between the arenas and the zones.
No, it might be better, but I don't.
I kind of feel like I've only played a small amount of one Doom game before, but from what I played of it, it just seems as if the game is putting parkour in this game just doesn't seem like it should be a thing.
But it is, because it works. You're learning those mechanics in between the fights, right? You're learning how to swing on poles and grab onto stuff.
Yeah, that's
they fights as well.
Yeah, and then in the middle of the arenas, you've also got those same poles and those same things to climb on and the same things to vault up on, stuff like that. So by honing your jumping around abilities and your timing in those instances and the exploration side of it, you're kind of taking some of that into the main part of the game, which is the combat, obviously. I don't think it's meaningless at all. I think it's just really, really well implemented. I don't see what you see wrong with that. I think you're comparing it to the combat and saying it's a bit less fun or engaging, which is true, obviously, because it's not the main part of the game, but I don't think it's meaningless. I think it's really well done.
The platforming parkour stuff, whatever you want to call it, and the puzzles are both just lacking in that department. There is games out there with much better parkour-y stuff, and there are games out there with much better puzzles. I think that's just how it
puzzle
is.
games and parkour games.
No, not necessarily. Like, you think about puzzles in a Half-Life game, they're better, aren't they?
Yeah, but these aren't supposed to be puzzles. It's just supposed to be slightly engaging your brain a bit more than just jumping from platform to platform. It's not trying to be a puzzle. Just like it takes pride in the fact that it's quite straightforward. You find the red card and that opens the red door. It's simple on the surface for a reason. It's supposed to be, but it's still more than. You can't. I don't know. I feel like you're asking too much. You're asking for really brain-teasing, complex puzzles in between a really brain-teasing, complex puzzle shooter.
I'm not asking for anything at all. I have no problem with what it provides. I'm just saying there's better stuff out there. You can't call it. I would struggle to give this a 10 out of 10 because of the lackluster experience of everything in between.
That's so unfair, man.
That's not
so
unfair at all.
Because
no, if there's a particular
you're saying that the developers are not very good at. You're saying that the developers basically aren't very good at doing puzzles or parkour or the movement. Basically, by saying that. just because it's not in every aspect of the game. It needs to be slow.
I don't understand.
I'm not getting offended. I'm just saying I don't think you're looking at it in the right way, and I don't think it's fair to criticise that aspect of the game, because that aspect of the game is simple to a degree and yet important for navigation in an interesting way. But all of those mechanics, the puzzle aspect of it, the 4D chess aspect of it, the brain bending components of it are all in that really difficult combat. And I don't know. I feel like it's a 10 out of 10 without a doubt. Like, I can't even. Nothing makes me think otherwise. This isn't a 10 out of 10 game. I think it's perfect. I think it's just so brilliantly done. I can't understand why you're letting that little thing in between, just because it's not as good as the rest of the game, bring it down.
Because you have to do that. When you're critiquing a game, you can't just say, it's perfect, even though these bits of the game are not perfect. It's perfect. No, because the kill rooms are perfect. They are without a doubt a 10 out of 10. But everything else is like a 8 out of 10. It's just basic, isn't it? It's not
7 out of 10.
It's a 7 out of 10 average.
No, I'm sorry, I can't get along with that. I can't. I don't understand. For me, it's like after every fight, I need a rest. I need something to just bring me back down to earth again, because I'm flying after each fight. So that bit in between is exactly what I need. No more and no less. Like, it's spot on.
And that, Dan, is the key thing. The thing you said there, that was the key thing. I'm pointing a pen at my mic right now to point it at you. The key thing you said was, for me. Yeah?
Yeah, but you're playing on pussy difficulty, so...
Dan, I genuinely don't understand how you're playing it when everything one-shots you. Like...
Because I know how to move and dodge, because I'm, enjoying the movement in that game.
No. I'm asking you now, without this being an argument, I'm asking you, how can you survive that game when you get hit once and
I don't get hit.
You don't get hit at all?
Well, if I do, then I go and use my flame belch to get some armor back, or I use some executions to get some health back.
Yeah, but I have to do that on this difficulty, and, like... I've still times where I'm on like really low health or I die. I genuinely do not understand how you're doing it. Like,
because I'm better than you.
Fine. Because you're better than me. Get salty, whatever. Yeah, and that's
10 out of 10 game.
Dan is going to be pushing this like he did Borderlands 3 last year.
This is leagues above Borderlands 3.
Not as good as Ori and Will of the Wisps though, so unlucky.
We'll see.
Blimey.
It's very, very good, but it is lacking in between. Let's move on. So the last game that we've been playing is
Le
Forest, which Kevin, you can describe this one. We've been chatting for about 4 hours now.
So we picked this game up last night, the three of us, and it's pretty much a survival game. You start off in a plane, and plane crashes, goes down, crashes, and you wake up in the plane, and all you have is, you wake up and there's like an axe at the edge of the plane. That's all you start with, and you basically have to go around. Don't forget
the convenient book that you have in your inventory, which tells you every single survival thing. You packed it just in case the plane went down and you landed in a forest.
Also, you may not have noticed this, but there are also tons of meds and booze on the plane. But I think I may have picked all of that up.
Yeah, I was wondering where you got all those bloody snacks from.
Yeah, I've got some of them as well, but.
Wait, what? I
didn't. Ben's running around like there's no loot anywhere.
Ben's just hunting people. He's just running around killing people.
Ben sees a rabbit and he just darts off into the forest. You never see him again.
But the gist of this game is that you have to just collect resources, combine your resources to make different weapons, buildings.
It's a crafting, base building, survival game, basically.
You got hunt things, cook things, chop trees down, team working, fun, chilled game with the occasional cannibal who comes and decides to just randomly attack you.
So there's the hook, is that you're in a survival situation, but you landed on an island with cannibals on it, and you just randomly get attacked by cannibals and stuff, which is actually kind of terrifying. They're pretty damn creepy, I have to say.
I've also heard that apparently there's like a mutant cannibal that's almost like an alien that's like can literally destroy your houses in one hit. So.
Oh God! All right. Well, better set up a fence.
No wonder Kevin knows how to build bows and arrows and slingshots and stuff. He's been like researching this game with me and Ben.
I just researched it now today. Also, all you have to do is put like a stick in your little crafty thing and then hover over it, and it tells you all the recipes of every single thing you can build with that stick.
What's a crafty?
I was quite enjoying doing this blind.
What, you just putting things together and you're like, oh, that makes something.
Yeah, that's what I was doing. I was quite enjoying that.
See, I'm even further behind than you two. All I've been doing is looking at the survival guide and being like, this is how you build a cabin. How are you building? What is a crafty thing?
So you can combine things in your inventory.
Yeah, when you go into your inventory, instead of left clicking to equip it, you right click it and it puts it in that little picnic thing in the middle.
Oh, that's
yeah, it puts it in there, and then you put like I don't know, like a stone and a stick together, and it makes an axe, or
like a stick and a skull and some tape, like Kevin did.
Yeah.
Kevin's weapon of choice is a cannibal's skull on a stick.
It's a cannibal skull club.
Yeah, what do you guys think so far?
It's very, very chilled.
It is. I feel like it shouldn't be chilled, but it is. Yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't know what the end goal of the game is. I don't know if you're just meant to survive as long as you can, or there's meant to be an investigation. You meant to try and get yourself off the island.
Oh, there's little objectives.
I noticed at the very end. Yeah, at the end of our session, I noticed we had a to-do list. We got like find this person.
Oh, do we?
Locate certain things on the island. So there are objectives, so to speak.
Mm. Yeah, I think it's the basis of it is cool, but it will need other stuff to keep us engaged. Like, you know, like in Minecraft, you've got what they call them, caves or whatever to explore. Things like that. I feel like it needs something like that to keep us sort of willing to keep coming back to it. If it's just a base building game where we get randomly attacked by mutants, it's a bit naff in reality.
Well, I mean, I'm sure there must be something else, like little islands and stuff to go to for the fact you have a boat. I wouldn't see the point of having a little boat like that if there wasn't.
The crafting seems to hint of particular things, doesn't it? Like why would you be able to build a tree house unless it had some sort of advantage? You know, like where, I don't know, like you said, that mutant thing that can take down your house in one hit, maybe you need to build a tree house so that they can't get to it, sort of thing. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's quite cool. It's quite good. It's definitely, I think in terms of the game itself, it's like a lot of thought has been put into it in comparison to a lot of other types of these games, where like instead of just, you know, you pick up a log and it goes into your inventory, you literally physically put it on your shoulder and stuff like that and carry it around. And you know, like your inventory opens up like a layout of all your inventory laid out on the floor, sort of thing, instead of just a menu.
Yeah,
and stuff like that. I feel like a lot of you know, care has been put into the animations and the actual gameplay, which is quite cool.
I wish the building was a bit different than just putting a blueprint in the air and just sticking them in there. I kind of wish there was a bit more of a buildy aspect to it, other than just I've got the extra, like the last log, and you just press E and it just places itself perfectly in the spot. I don't know. And
it turns out what we've established from this game is that we would be terrible if we got stranded on an island, because apparently I would be chopping down all the trees.
I'd be chasing Kevin around with the head of a seagull in my hand.
Yeah.
That is disgusting, by the way. You can kill seagulls and lizards, and you can basically hold their heads as like a trophy in your hand.
Yeah. You can also put them on a stick, I found out, but we'll get to
bloody hell.
I think, for me, the key thing about this game in multiplayer that works really well, even though we're really bad at it, is the collaboration aspect of it and how it encourages that. Like the fact that you can build, I mean, like all survival games, there are efficiencies and optimizations that you can build into your building routine. Like, we just discovered you could build a contraption to transport logs around, but before that we were building a supply chain where one of us was cutting trees down and then some of us were delivering it nearby, and then
Kevin was doing fuck all.
Was working out how to build a bow and arrow by Googling it.
I didn't get... Oh, you but wait.
Yeah, the collaboration aspect works really well, and there's lots of items, it turns out, that help with that. So, like, if I want to give an item to a player, I can't just drop it. It's got a system in place, or I have to offer it on a tray to them. And it's all a bit. It's a bit of a stretch of the imagination how that all fits together. But somehow, in terms of gameplay mechanics, I think it works really well. And I can imagine, building the full process. Building it up, I think you can probably get cranes and ways of transporting logs up trees and stuff, and really getting into the nitty-gritty of all that. I think that's really cool. I think that's one of my favourite aspects of it.
Yeah, that's what I mean, though. The base building side and the collaborating side, in that sense, is really cool, but there needs to be more of a push to venture. That's my issue, is that...
Yeah, well, I mean, we found little camps, didn't we?
Yeah, but even that was a bit like, all right, fair enough.
We found like deers in the forest, and we found different like plants and stuff that we hadn't.
I mean, we haven't explored that much, so I'm assuming there's still something.
We barely touched the surface.
I hope so. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, apparently I'm just a negative person that shits on everything. So
negative Nancy up here.
I hope there is as well, because I really enjoyed the gameplay of it, so I hope it keeps us going for a bit.
It's like, I think the most direct comparison would be Rust, where Rust, you spend all this time base building and stuff with whatever, and then your next port of call is to go out and start like raiding other people's bases and things like that, where if it hasn't got that push to do something else, it will get stale quite quickly. That's my final thoughts for this week.
I mean, yeah, I guess you could say it's almost like a tower defense game in some aspects as well, though, because the raids that we're having, we're getting tougher and tougher cannibals turn up, and more of them at once, and they're getting more frequent. So I guess there is a push to work on that aspect of it as well. And then when we go out, it's gonna be dangerous. Eventually, I almost died last time. But...
So did I, because you were hoarding all the medicine.
I didn't know how to. Anyway.
All right, is that everything we played?
I think so.
Kev, do you want to hit us with a little cheeky bit of feedback?
So, our Pickle friend of the Pickle family in the Pickle world.
Nice.
Happy Pickler. It's coming back with the feedback ting. So, starts with, hello Pickles.
Hello.
Well, I feel there needs to be some clarification. Number one. Whilst I understand there can be hysterical moments when playing a video, which involves interaction with other players, I wish it didn't have to, whilst realistically blowing someone's head off.
Fair enough.
Yep.
Nothing to add to that. Yep.
Yeah.
If you don't like that sort of game,
then yeah.
There are games that are not violent and are online and fun. What's that new one coming out? Which is basically like a 100-person battle royale, but it's more like Wipeout, the TV show, or something.
Oh God!
Have you seen that?
No.
It looks brilliant. You play these little blobby things, and there's no violence in it at all. But
oh no, I have seen that. Yeah.
What's it called? It looks brilliant. I can't wait for that.
Yeah.
It's basically 100 people playing, the TV show Wipeout, where you got big inflatable objects trying to knock you off the arena.
And you play like five rounds, and the winners stay on, sort of thing. More like Takeshi's Castle.
Yeah. Takeshi's Castle, exactly like Takeshi's Castle. Yeah. So yeah, there are other games that are fun and hysterical, but you don't have to blow people's heads off.
I wonder how this person feels about like war films and stuff. Imagine they actually like war films, but they don't like war games.
But we've gone through this argument several times now, and it keeps cropping up.
It sounds like we're agreeing to disagree, right?
Yeah. Number 2, I realised that you can immerse yourself in a game, and this is a good thing. I get terribly immersed into films and really enjoy it. So to an extent, it has to be realistic for this to happen. But you were speaking about realism as though if your character could fly, it would feel like you were flying. Maybe I took your words too literally.
No, that's what we meant.
Yeah.
And at some point we'll get that. At some point we'll have games that make you, and I guess that's the crossover of realism and immersion. Like that's where the line crosses.
Yeah.
Where you're immersed in the game, like you're feeling what the character feels, or you're, actually having the sense of presence that you're in there.
Yeah. That where
requires some realism for that to take place.
Yeah, that's where like VR, 3D audio, and nerve technology and shiz like that comes into play. If you want full immersion into a realistic game to make it feel like you're actually doing it, you need to isolate all 5 of your senses within that game, which becomes not something that we can currently achieve.
Full VR.
Yeah.
There it goes. Says clarification over. Enough said. Fine. We'll leave it. I bought a book. I bought a Witcher book to read whilst on holiday. Oh, that's where you've been. Just so I could get an idea of the game you play. Sadly, I couldn't get any further than 20 pages. Maybe it's more of a visual thing.
Maybe she's not a fantasy fan.
No, the books are quite hard, to be fair. I think you do. It's a lot easier to read the books if you have some sort of prerequisite into that world, if that makes sense. Like,
but didn't the book come first?
Yeah, the books did come first, but it is. I found it a lot easier relating it to things that I'd seen in the game and series and stuff. But
maybe you should watch the series on Netflix, and then maybe that will give you a bit of a.
Yeah. If you watch the series and then the book makes a bit more sense, I think.
I agree that it is a shame the game shops are closing. I remember when I could venture into a record shop, put some headphones and listen to the latest single from my favourite artist. So I was surprised that you were keen for the big games convention to be streamed rather than physically go ahead. Where would it have been held? Would you have been able to attend in person? Maybe this is why streaming is an exciting prospect for you.
It's a really good question, actually.
It's.
I mean, if EGX, which is our local one, said that we're never doing a physical event again, then it will always be streamed from now on. I do think she's right. I think I would feel a bit upset about that. However, in the grand scheme of things, it's better for the people that can't make it to be part of it and have a bigger community engagement than just have it limited to the people that go there. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know. So it's a good question.
It is, yeah. It's a weird one because I don't think necessarily we were talking about it in terms of what we want. I just feel like it's the way that the industry's going. The industry's going.
The events.
Because a lot of these companies realise that they can do this themselves and they don't need these big organisations to run massive conferences for them because they can just do it. Why am I paying you tens of millions of pounds to put me on a stage when I have my own bloody stage, And I think that's the main reason we think it's probably going towards that side, not necessarily for our enjoyment, although it might be more enjoyable to us. But at the same time, I would prefer to watch E3 as it is now than a fully online version. Like for example, this Steam Spring Festival games thing is great, but I much prefer EGX. I would 1,000,000% rather go to EGX and play all these games and speak to the developers and stuff like that than just download a demo on Steam and do it, I think that's...
So it is essentially location based, really, kind of, at the end of it. Because the only way I can see it is that with the other big ones, like E3, for example, if it was solely online, there would be more effort put into to what our streamers see, rather than it being a bit of a both community and people that are there as well as the streaming part of it. There'd be more. They would solely put all of their energy into the online bit that we see, rather than having to split it up a little bit, I guess.
I know what you mean. I feel like that I feel like there's room for both. There's room for both, but they need to put more effort into the one that's not their main one, if that makes sense. So obviously E3 is the main thing is the physical thing, but having a online streaming like live TV show almost, where they can show off like indie games and smaller projects and stuff, and interviews with developers and all this sort of random stuff. Would be really cool to do that at the same time. Just put a bit more effort into the online side so that people that aren't there can still have a good experience from E3 and not just be watching from the sidelines sort of thing.
That's the thing, is that there's like a split with it. There's the announcement side of it, and then there's the community engagement and the hands-on demonstrations where you can play the games. And the announcement side of it is always what I think most people around the world are more excited about. What's coming next, what can we expect from all the developers that we follow. And that's streamed online anyway, and the experience you get there in the crowd, okay, maybe it's slightly different because you've got the atmosphere and you've got the cheering, all the people around you, like going to a football game, but
or
you're
the dead
still
silence.
watching the same thing. Or the dead
when
silence.
they announce Diablo.
But even that's like a memory. It's like something to be part of. And but in terms of the content you actually see, none of that changes. It's the same. We see the same thing at home as those people there see up on the stage. So that announcement side of it, I don't think much really needs to change there.
No.
It's just a shame that lots of E3 is like a full week of media coverage and presentations and articles, and all of the big publications go, and that's kind of what you do during that week. You go and read all the different publications that you generally follow, and you follow the Twitter feeds, and you just kind of you feel like you're part of it anyway. It's just the hands-on side of it, I think, could be a bit different, like getting a chance to play those games. And that's one of the main advantages of going to these things, is being able to play them and also to meet the developers.
It's so nice being able to talk to developers that put their heart and soul into these projects, and it's just nice being able to chat with them, really.
Yeah,
it is.
Anyway.
Hopefully we get to chat with them a bit more.
Yeah.
I hope so. Foreshadowing.
As she goes on to say, still getting used to the new format. One pod about news, another for the games you've played. I missed the other sections of the podcast. We used to have a rap or a poem. We did. We had a recommended game each week. Pretty sure that lasted about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And improvised jingles. That's true. We used to have a lot of them as well. Oh, the good old days.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Times have changed. Happy Pickle. Get with the program. Yeah. I'm joking. I'm joking.
I felt like in terms of that, I think it was more of a we wanted to keep who we are and our personalities about it and love of games, but we also needed to kind of, if we want to do what we want to do, we needed to kind of get rid of the little, I don't want to say tatty, but
it wasn't. I think that they had their moments and they were great for a period of time, but eventually some of these things need to stop, like it's just how
it's about streamlining, isn't it?
Yeah, you have to streamline the things that work, whereas other things we've had mixed feedback about some of this stuff as well. We've had mixed feedback about the poems, where some people just don't like it and some people do like it. So it was good to have it for a period of time where the people that did like it enjoyed it, but whereas everyone, as far as I'm aware, likes the stuff that we are currently doing, so let's just keep that going,
And it's also the spontaneity of it, like that. I think it was so good because it was so spontaneous, and all that weird stuff kind of came out of nowhere and nobody expected it. But to have it as a thematic thing that we do all the time, it starts to lose its charm after
that is very true.
Yeah.
Maybe I outdid it with the jingles. I should have brought it in every now and then.
Yeah, man, it's your fault. You saturated the market.
Yeah, sorry about that. Question of the week. Oh, it's got a title now. What is the best weapon you have ever used in a game?
Oh, this is a good question, man.
That is a good question. Damn.
Has anyone got an answer?
One does pop to mind, but I'm sure there are so many others, and I'm kind of worried to say this one because as soon as somebody else says theirs, I'm going to think of another one. I'm going to be I got a better idea.
Go on.
But the one that comes to mind is what was it called? It was a weapon in Ratchet and Clank in the PlayStation 4 version. The one that looked incredible, still one of the best looking games that's ever been made. It was like a disco ball, like a grenade, and you throw it and it would pop up into the air, and the disco ball basically starts spinning, and all the enemies that were caught in the radius of it would basically just start dancing along to some music.
Oh my god,
playing.
Fortnite stole that so hard.
Fortnite ripped that off.
Holy,
yeah. You literally just described like
the disco bomb,
exact
disco grenade, or
thing that the disco ball grenade is in Fortnite.
I didn't even know that existed. That's pissed me off. But this was good, and it was probably better than Fortnite, because what was so good about it is Ratchet and Clank was great because it had so many different funky enemies and whimsical designs, and they all had personalities and tons of different enemy types, but every single one had their own like dance routine, and you could use it on every single like major boss in the game as well. And every single one had their own fully animated, fully sequenced dances. So if you had like a group of 5 different enemies and you got the grenade on them, they'd all do their own like synchronized dances with each other, and it was just so funny. It never got old. It was just so much fun to use, and whilst they were dancing, you could pull out a shotgun and whatever. But it had some great. It had some great weapons. It had the pixelator as well, which would slowly reduce them into less and less pixels until they were so pixelated they didn't exist anymore.
Ratchet and Clank is such a good game, man. Like, honestly, it's so underrated. It's mad.
Yeah.
You got any Ben?
Yeah, I mean, mine's a pretty popular, obvious one, but I feel like it needs to be on our little list here, which is the Leviathan X from God of War. And
nice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man.
It doesn't get. I mean, the concept of it is quite cool, but the way it feels and the weight of this thing is ridiculous. Like, this is the closest thing you can get to throwing Thor's hammer, basically. Like, you lob this axe and then it sticks into walls or enemies or whatever, and then you press a button and it like comes back to you like Thor's hammer. But the way that they did it with like the screen shake and the controller vibrating and stuff like that just had this proper weight to this axe. It just felt so good, man. And then when you retract it, obviously it comes back through enemies and hits them and stuff. So you could, throw it into an enemy and then roll past another enemy and then retract it back to you to hit that enemy and then whack him a few times, throw it out again. And it was just brilliant. It's such a good weapon.
Even watching gameplay clips of that, I've not played the game, but I've seen the gameplay clips. I could feel it just by watching it.
Yeah.
The impact of it actually hitting your hand and your hand kind of being drawn back a little bit. If any mortal was being hit by that on return, it would just send them flying backwards.
Yeah.
Like, I could.
The God of War, the one who completely annihilated Hercules. If he has a bit of feedback from hitting that axe, man, like that thing must be coming back with some force. Like, it's mad.
Yeah, it's a good choice.
Kev. The M4 from Call of Duty.
That's well weird. I was initially going to say the Car 98K from World at War.
Come on.
But I actually have the one in my head. Okay. It was a game called Cell Damage.
Oh, the car one.
Game.
Yeah. And in that game, there was a pair of boxing gloves you'd pick up the weapon and it would come on the front of your car. And you used to be able to run around and use these boxing gloves, and like 2 gloves would come out and start punching people in front of you. and you could time your hits so well that you could just juggle them in the air, because as soon as they get hit, they kind of lose control of their car. But if you juggle it so perfectly, you can just keep them in your hands and you just punch them around the map, and it was so good. I absolutely loved it. That's one of the weapons that's always stuck in my brain.
Nice. That's such a good variety there.
Yeah.
Nice, good answers.
Good question as well, man. Like, keep them coming.
Excellent question. Yeah.
I
think that's it.
Yeah, it's just looking forward to Monday, your happy Pickler.
We're also looking forward to Monday.
Yeah.
Kind of, I guess. Thank you for your email. Mucho apreciado. So yeah, Kev, if people want to be like the Happy Pickler, if they want to message us and love us and appreciate us and, adore us as much as we adore them, how do they do it?
You go to Twitter or Facebook, which is Praise Pickle.
Yeah.
You go to Instagram, which is Praise Pickle Podcast.
Uh-huh.
Or send us a little email thing, like the Happy Pickler, which is praisepicklepodcast@gmail.com.
.com indeed.
.com indeed.
That's it.
Indeed.
We are done. Praise the Pickle Retrospect out. Love ya. Leave ya. Until next week. Toodle flippity doodles. Bye.
Pickle to the flippity flip pickle.